A Sydney criminal gang was laundering $1 million every hour. Not every day, every hour, for 3 to 5 hours straight. That's what Australian Federal Police discovered in 2022. And motorcycle clubs sit at the heart of this billion-dollar shadow economy. They don't just sell drugs. They've built a financial empire so sophisticated that billions flow through Australian banks, businesses, and property markets every single year, hidden in plain sight. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on how Australia's outlaw motorcycle gangs transformed from leather-clad rebels into corporate-level money launderers. This isn't speculation. This is documented evidence from police operations, court cases, and government intelligence. What you're about to learn will change how you see that tattoo parlor on the corner or that 24-hour gym down the street. The scale of the operation. Let's start with the numbers. The Australian Federal Police believes motorcycle gangs are involved in up to half of all large-scale drug importations into Australia. The Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission estimates organized crime costs the country between $30 billion and $68 billion annually, with bikie gangs controlling significant portions of that economy. There are currently 38 outlaw motorcycle gangs operating across Australia, with approximately 4,600 patched members. The Big Six, the Comancheros, Bandidos, Hells Angels, Rebels, Finks, and Mongols, dominate the landscape. But drugs are only half the story. The real sophistication lies in what happens after the cash comes in. Because millions in dirty money sitting in duffel bags doesn't buy mansions, luxury cars, or legitimate businesses. That money needs to be cleaned, and Australian bickies have become experts at exactly that. The business fronts. Police estimate that at least 1 in 4 tattoo parlors across Australia are affiliated with outlaw motorcycle clubs. Arthur Katsogiannis, former head of the New South Wales gang squad, explained the strategy directly. Bickies open tattoo parlors, then declare income from their illegal drug operations as revenue from the tattoo business. Suddenly, dirty money becomes legitimate income. But tattoo shops are just the beginning. Bickies have diversified far beyond their traditional fronts. The Hells Angels, according to police intelligence, have moved into gyms, haulage companies, and the security industry. In South Australia, police estimate that 80% of nightclubs and bars in Adelaide use security companies owned by or connected to bickie gangs. Gyms have become particularly attractive. From the Gold Coast to Melbourne, fitness centers have emerged as targets for criminal elements. Rumors of money laundering and gang involvement have dogged the industry. In one Melbourne case, a gym linked to a gangland figure was targeted in an arson attack, part of the violent turf wars that erupt when criminal enterprises collide. Former Comanchero boss Mahmoud Mick Howie was shot dead in a gym car park in 2018. The fitness industry, with its cash memberships and high turnover, provides perfect cover for washing illegal funds. Queensland passed laws specifically banning gang members from owning, operating, or working in tattoo parlors. The state government went further, targeting bickie involvement in the security, gym, and second-hand car industries. These weren't arbitrary choices. Each industry shares a common feature: high cash flow and minimal paper trails. The real estate pipeline. But the biggest money laundering channel isn't Tattoo Inc. or gym memberships. It's property. Australia's real estate market has become what financial crime experts call a honeypot for laundering funds. In February 2023, the Australian Federal Police arrested 9 members of an international money laundering organization and restrained more than $150 million in Sydney property, cash, and luxury items. The group allegedly operated as an unregulated multinational bank, moving illicit money through multiple countries for criminal clients, including outlaw motorcycle gangs. The Criminal Assets Confiscation Task Force obtained restraining orders over 20 properties in that single operation. These included commercial buildings in Sydney's CBD, 2 eastern suburbs homes worth more than $19 million combined, and a 360-hectare tract of land near Sydney's second airport, valued at 47 million Australian dollars. A US TRAC, Australia's financial intelligence agency, has identified real estate as a primary vehicle for money laundering. The methods are straightforward but effective. Criminals use third parties, often people with no criminal records, to purchase property on their behalf. They exploit complex ownership structures like shell companies and trusts. They undervalue properties on contracts, paying the difference secretly with illicit cash. They overvalue properties to obtain larger loans, then service those debts with drug money. And until recently, real estate agents weren't even covered by anti-money laundering laws. Lawyers, accountants, and agents weren't required to ask where the money came from. That loophole made Australia one of just 5 countries out of 177 that failed to meet international standards for combating financial crime through property. The tax office strikes back. Australian authorities haven't stood idle. In May 2017, the Australian Tax Office joined forces with state and federal police to target Bikie gang members directly for tax evasion. They served lodgement demands, debt collection notices, and court attendance notices to approximately 200 outlaw motorcycle gang members in a single week. The tax records of associated lawyers and accountants were also scrutinized. The results were significant. Throughout 2015 to 16, Operation Morpheus, a joint task force under the AFP-led National Anti-Gang Squad, targeted 688 taxpayers connected to organized crime. They collected $5.9 million and prosecuted 35 people. High-ranking Comanchero member Roberto Mirando was hit with a $1.7 million tax bill after investigators examined 8 years of his business affairs. Victorian Comanchero boss Mick Murray faced a tax assessment exceeding $9 million based on unexplained spending and claims that revenue from his tattoo, security, and gym businesses had been deliberately underreported. The strategy works because even if criminals evade drug charges, they can't hide the lifestyle. Luxury cars, waterfront mansions, designer watches, all require money that needs to be explained. When it can't be, the tax office moves in. The global network. Today's Bikie gangs don't operate within Australian borders alone. The Australian Federal Police reports that outlaw motorcycle gangs have expanded their influence across Southeast Asia over the past decade, controlling supply chains, trafficking corridors, and money laundering networks. Assistant Commissioner Nigel Ryan stated that about 70% of transnational serious organized crime threats impacting Australia come from overseas, and a significant portion involve motorcycle gang members or their facilitators. The Comancheros have established chapters in New Zealand and Southeast Asia. In 2024, a Comanchero vice president was charged in connection with an attempt to smuggle 2.34 tons of cocaine into Australia, valued at over $1.5 billion and marking the country's largest such seizure. The drugs came from South America via sea. The club allegedly had members stationed in Thailand and, crucially, Mexico, where connections to the Sinaloa cartel have transformed the Pacific drug trade. Money flows the same way drugs do, internationally through encrypted communications, cryptocurrency exchanges, and complex webs of shell companies spanning multiple continents. The future. Task Force Avarice, established in 2022, now targets the highest priority money laundering threats facing Australia. The multi-agency unit has already charged 42 people, laid 66 charges, and deprived criminal groups of more than $250 million in cash and assets. But investigators acknowledge they're fighting an uphill battle. Every operation they shut down, another emerges. Every dollar they seize, billions more flow through. The outlaw motorcycle gang of the 1960s, rebels in leather riding Harleys, has evolved into something far more dangerous. A transnational organized crime network with corporate-level financial sophistication. They don't just break laws, they exploit the gaps in laws that don't exist yet. And until Australia closes those gaps, the money will keep flowing.